Did you call? Ahad, how we doing? Thanks for joining. Look at that. Just like that, you make a comment and here I am, live and chatting away to you all. What's going on? Good to see all the Discord people here. Whoa. My phone's slower than my computer. Hang on, let me turn this off. Can you hear me? Everything good? Yeah, this is the first time I've used this software, so who knows what it's going to be like. Looks like Katie is running around trying to fix her internet connection, but thank you all for joining on a very last minute call to hold this event. We've got Candlelight Science Fair coming up in like less than a week. Like people are coming, people are arriving on Saturday. You are arriving on Saturday, and it's going to be such a fun time. So I thought this would just be a fun little opportunity to introduce all the ambassadors that we've got coming with us. We've got Zoe in the green room looking ready to say hi. So I might bring her onto screen here and let's see. Zoe, how we doing?
Good, how are you? Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Stu, I didn't know that you could see me, but everyone else couldn't. That's awkward.
Oh, I mean, you're looking great. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
How you been doing? What's been going on?
I'm good. Just spending lots of time in my lab. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, not in the lab, but in my room working. Hi, Katie. Welcome.
Well, I was sitting in the waiting room and very confused because my internet hadn't refreshed, and I'm here now.
Nice.
My glasses are fogging up.
So does everyone know Zoe and Katie? I mean, some of you in the Discord would know of Katie already. Zoe ducks in and out every now and again too. Drops a bit of wisdom, bit of advice, and then ducks back out again.
I try to keep up with it, but you all talk so much. I don't know where you find the time.
Neither do I. It's like 1,000 messages every day right now. Like that's too much to keep up with. And I mean, we've got some very funny AI summaries right now that I don't know if that's providing too much value to us right now, but
it's providing a lot of value. Thank you.
Entertainment at least. So how about we kick this off then? Katie, as the ambassador coordinator for 2023, do you want to kick us off with a bit of an introduction? Tell us who you are, where you're working, what you're doing.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Katie. I'm the ambassador coordinator for Canada-wide Science Fair this year. And I am from Oakville, Ontario, so it's a suburban town right outside of Toronto. I was a Canada-wide finalist 4 times back in the day, and I'm returning. This is my 4th year in the kind of Team UV behind the scenes roles, and my 1st year as an ambassador coordinator, and I'm so excited to meet all the finalists this year and to deliver some awesome programming. So, yeah.
Nice. And what brings you back every year?
Oh, what doesn't bring me back every year? I think, honestly, first of all, getting to see all the really cool stuff people are doing. It is mind-blowing. I'm a PhD student, and honestly, the level of work and perseverance that I see in the Canada-wide Science Fair finalists completely rivals or sometimes overpasses that of other PhD students I know. So getting to see that, and also just getting to have a great time celebrating science, that definitely brings me back as well.
Cool. Good answer. Good. Zoe, do you want to kick us off and give us a bit of an intro as to who you are and what you like to do? Is Zoe still there? No, looks like she might have dropped out. Oh, alrighty, let's go back to Katie.
Cool. Sorry to take my glasses on and off.
More.
They're fogging so much, and it's just the excitement. I get so excited that my glasses start fogging up.
Definitely wasn't the sprint up the stairs.
It wasn't
to get
bad
the better
at all.
internet connection. Brilliant. Katie, tell us about your very first candlelight science fair experience.
Oh, okay. My very first Candlelight Science Fair was actually in Alberta, so this is a very special kind of throwback year for me because we're heading back to Alberta. I was in grade 9. We went to Lethbridge, and I was so nervous because I hadn't really left much of Ontario. I hadn't seen much of Canada, and I hadn't gotten to meet people from all over Canada either. So I went with my project, which was it was called the Medication Automated Reminder Technological Health Assistant, or MARTHA for short. I like acronyms. And it reminded people when to take their medication. It was an electronic and software system. And honestly, that was my first candlelight. Was a time I'll never, ever, ever forget. From the moment I landed in Calgary and I got the Western welcome, which was followed by me running through the airport with like 5 bags, trying to catch a bus because our region's flight was late, all the way to the very end, square dancing so hard that I went like this and my glasses fell off and I had to go crawling for them because I couldn't see. I can't see you right now. I'm very, very bad with my eyes. So honestly, every little memory is like burned into my head, but in the best possible way.
Yeah, that's a good way to be. I'm glad that was your first experience. Looks like Zoe has just joined us again as well. So Zoe.
I don't know what happened. I just got kicked off the internet at my house. So sorry if I missed anything.
It's something Stuart's doing, I think. It's something Stuart's doing. He's like remotely ruining our internet.
Yeah.
Obviously, of course.
Zoe, did you want to give us a bit of an intro?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
So, hi everyone. Like Stu said and Katie said, I'm Zoe. I'm one of your Team UV ambassadors this year for CWSF, and I'm super, super excited to be heading to Edmonton. I've actually never been to Alberta, so this will be my first time. I'm super excited. What else should I share? Okay, well, I was a Team UV, a CWSF finalist for the very first time in 2019. So I was a grade 12 student when I went for the first time. And that was actually my first time ever participating in a science fair in my entire life. So that was like, I mean, the best experience to have for my first time. So that was super fun. And then I also was on the ambassador team last year for the online fair. So I've had some experience in the ambassador role, but I'm super excited to be doing an in-person ambassador role as well. And then what else is fun about me? I don't know. In January, I started a Master's of Science program at Brock University, which is in St. Catharines, Ontario. So pretty close to Niagara Falls, and I'm from that area as well. And I study neuroscience. And another fun fact, I guess, is that some of you may have seen in the Discord server, every once in a while I'll pop in and share a picture of my axolotl. So if anybody knows what an axolotl is, you may have seen mine in the chat. His name is Hiccup, and I love him. And that's all I have to share right now.
I mean, that's some fun information to share. I do love Hiccup. So fun. What about question for you? What keeps you coming back each year? Like, why have you stuck around the science fair group? How?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, aside from the fact that it's just awesome, and you get to hang out with fun people like Katie, and Stu's also there.
Not quite the same.
When I actually went to Canada Wide for the first time, it was the first time for me that I felt like, wow, I am surrounded by people who love science just like me. So that was kind of like my first time being in an environment with a bunch of super nerds like all of us in the chat here. And thank you for the comment about axolotls. I absolutely love that. And I really hope that they're not illegal in New Brunswick. That's very sad if they but yeah, I guess I love being involved in the STEM community. Everyone's so excited about science, and I feel like I just found my people through science fair. So that's why I keep coming back. As long as you'll have me.
We'll keep you. We'll keep you around for a bit longer. And we've just had someone else join the stream. I hope she's ready to go. But hi, Jackie. How we doing?
Hi, everyone. Good. I just got off work, so I had to rush over to another building to join the call. But yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. Katie and Zoe have introduced themselves, but did you want to spend a minute or so introducing yourself and talking about when you went to Candlelight for the first time, how long you've been around for, what you do, what you're studying now? Yep, all the good stuff.
So I attended my first Canada-wide science fair in 2015. So I 7, and that was my first Canada-wide ever. And I was super, super scared, but it ended up being super fun. And so I went back the next year in 2016. And that one was in Montreal. And I absolutely loved it. It made me want to go to McGill so bad. And then I took a break from science fair for a bit at the start of high school, just because I thought it would be too much for me. But then in grade 11, I decided to do it again. So this was the year before COVID. And I did another project and I made it to the fair again. And this time it was in Fredericton. So it was my second time visiting Fredericton, which was also super cool because I got to go back and see some people that I had seen there before and also some places. So that was my last fair. And then last year I was also an ambassador for the online fair because of COVID. So I'm not sure if any of you guys saw me last year, but if you did, I hope to see you in person this year. And so, so now what I'm doing is I study engineering at UBC. So I didn't end up going to McGill. I'm thinking maybe for my master's or something, I might go over there, we'll see. But yeah, so I'm studying engineering here at UBC, in particular chemical and biological engineering, which surprisingly has very little chemistry, but it does have a lot of biology. And so I look at reactors, biological reactors, making cells do things for us. And that's actually what I'm doing right now for my job. So right now I am working on making the bioluminescence that you see in fireflies. So I'm producing that myself in a lab. So yeah, that's pretty much my story, I guess.
I mean, I just have one main question for that is why are you recreating bioluminescence in the lab? What are you doing? Just for fun?
So, not just for fun.
There's actually your hobbies.
So there's actually a lot of uses for it. The reason that this startup kind of began was because of glow sticks. So glow sticks are super, super bad for the environment. They're super toxic. They never break down. And basically they just get dumped in the ocean and just release their toxic chemicals everywhere. And so the girl who started the company, she saw this issue and she was like, I'm an engineer, I can fix this. So she started producing, she took the gene that produces the enzyme. I don't know if this is too high level, but it produces the enzyme that will break down a substance that creates the bioluminescent light. And so right now we have cells that are just producing this protein for us, and then we do a bunch of like clarification stages until we get just the protein, and then that can be mixed with just water and it'll produce the light. So now it's also being used for finding people that have been missing in the ocean, so just dumping this everywhere and it just lights up the ocean, or looking through shipwrecks, also fishing. Because I don't know if anyone knows this, but glow sticks are used for
in the ocean and no one cares, but it's really, really bad for the fish and the whole environment. So instead, we can just make lures using this bioluminescent light and have the same effect. So yeah, they're looking into a bunch of different ways. I just got a notification that we won some like competition down in Texas, like just now. So that was super exciting.
Cool.
And I'm really happy to be a part of it. So yeah.
Congrats. Wow. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we have some very intelligent ladies on the call right now, basically. I'm just here to give them a YouTube video to talk to everyone on. I'm definitely not studying anything that intelligent. So I'm glad you all are, because you get to be able to talk to this kind of White Science Fair finalists and actually understand what they're talking about. Because I know a lot of their projects as well have a lot of big words, and we're here to give them advice as to how to turn those big words into smaller words so that this guy and people like me can understand it. So, ladies, what's some advice you've got for Canada White Science Fair finalists? Let's start super simple first and foremost. What should be the first thing they do at Canada White Science Fair to make sure they're making the most of the experience? Super simple, right?
Okay, first thing I think you should do is take some deep breaths.
Good start.
Because you'll walk into the exhibit hall and it's going to be huge and there's going to be lots of people doing lots of really cool stuff. And immediately you're probably going to, if you're anything like me, going to be like, what am I doing here? How did I get here among all these really, really smart, really driven people? So take some deep breaths and remember that you're here because you're an amazing scientist. You got chosen for a reason. You're here to represent your province. You're here to represent your hometown, and just keep that kind of message in your head throughout the fair, because the imposter syndrome is definitely going to set in, but don't let it. I know it's easier said than done, but yeah, take some deep breaths. That should be the first thing, I think.
Good start. Good start. Zoe?
That's an easy question, but it's also kind of a hard question still. I definitely second what Katie said. But also I guess just take a moment to like congratulate yourself. I mean, that's kind of going off of what Katie said, but when you're taking it all in, just be like, yeah, I made it here. Regardless of anything that happens all week in terms of judging or anything else, like it is a huge accomplishment. Not only to make it to the Canada Wide Fair, but even just to have done a science fair project. I mean, you're like youth that are putting science and putting research out into the world, and that's awesome. Like that's really cool. So I guess just take a minute to congratulate yourself.
Yeah, you're all awesome. Jackie, what you got?
Tape first. That's my piece of advice. So I don't know if you guys have ever been to the fair before, but everyone goes and sets up their posters at the same time, and it's really hard to find yourself tape and scissors. So get there early, get that done quick. That's just a warning. But
done early and go through everything. Do a mock presentation. Have someone stand there and pretend to be a judge. Not so you can really like practice, but just to make sure you have everything. I think it was my brother who also attended Canada Wide before me. He realized that he didn't have something printed or something was wrong on his poster. And just by going through it right when he got there, just double checking that he had everything, he was able to go and print something off to fix his poster and didn't have to realize that while he was being judged. So yeah, just quick run through, make sure you have everything, and then you can sort through the issues before it becomes like crunch time.
Yeah.
And I have something to add on to Jackie as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned your brother, he went through and he realized something was missing. That happened to me, except I didn't realize something was wrong. So when I was in grade 12, something at my project got a little bit out of order. It got a little bit messed up. And I got there on judging morning. I realized that I had completely switched things in places they shouldn't be because I was just a little bit too nervous, and I was freaking out. But the moral of the story, I think, is that things are going to go wrong. Like, yes, they will go wrong, but don't let that stop you. Don't be like, oh, it went wrong, game over. Like, keep on going, pretend it didn't happen, show your best self, because chances are it's not as big of a deal as you think it is, and you can still do really well.
Good advice. Good advice. So shall we talk about judging then? I know the finalists all received an email a couple of days ago about some judging tips that was sent by yours truly. So let's see if any of you ladies have any other tips that wasn't included in that email. But have you got something like a secret for the people listening right now to improve their judging? It's not long away. It's like judging happens in 7 days' time.
I would say, oh no, Zoe. Go Zoe, go Zoe.
I love it. Put a hand up.
I
Yes,
felt like
please.
there's no like raise hand feature on
Yeah.
here. And I feel like I'm at school or something. Sorry, Katie, you can go ahead if you want.
Oh, I was just gonna say like something that Stu says all the time. So it's just gonna be like throwing it at people once again, but don't try and talk at your judges. Try and have a conversation with them. They're not there to hear you lecture. They're here to have a deep and meaningful conversation about the science you've done. And you're there to answer questions and talk about what you might want to do next. So don't do too much talking at the judges. Definitely introduce your presentation, show them the key highlights, and then when you've done that, like switch it to conversation mode and don't be too discouraged by that, because the judges are there because they want to be there. Nobody's forcing them to be there. They're there because they want to see your projects. They want to see what amazing science that you're doing, and they're just as excited about science as you are. So take it as a really cool opportunity to talk to somebody who might even be in your industry about the science you're doing.
Good one.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Oh, Jackie, you raised your hand too. Should I go now? I don't know.
Go for it, sorry. Yeah. Hit us with your wisdom.
Oh, okay. Well,
What would Hiccup do?
what would Hiccup do? I don't
Yeah.
know. He'd probably like eat some worms on judging day.
Settle the stomach. Yeah,
Someone
smart.
also told me to Google it about the axolotls in New Brunswick, so I will do that. I saw that in the chat, but I was just gonna add that I'm a huge fan of analogies. So, like for example, when I was doing my Canada-wide science project or science fair project, it was very much like research that was more basic science opposed to like applied science. So while I wasn't proposing like a cure for neurodegeneration, I was proposing a baseline of what certain proteins might do in the brain. And obviously sometimes that can not be necessarily as flashy as like, this is how we're going to cure Alzheimer's. And the way that I explain that in a little bit of a funny, but I think better way to my judges was like, I would say something really silly like, I'm not trying to build a Ferrari, I'm just trying to like figure out how to make a wheel. But you can't have a car without the wheels, so this is really important. And as silly as that sounds, I think it really got my point across as to why we need basic science and why my project was important without having to like try to make it something that it wasn't. So I think if you can kind of put it into other terms, that makes it really easy for judges to kind of get why they should care and why your research is important.
Nice, I like that. Jackie, how about you? What have you got for us? Are you muted? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I think your headphones just take like a second to cut in. So.
I really agree with what Zoe said, and also just the fact that, you know, the judges are just people. Like, I know they seem like super scary, but they're just people and they want to hear about your project. And so just keep that in mind. Another thing that I did was like look at the people around me when they were being judged and I wasn't. It's really hard to like look back at your judging experience and say, okay, this is what I did well, this is what I didn't, because usually the adrenaline's running and like I didn't remember what I said during the judging. But if you just look around and see what other people are doing, like I was able to notice, okay, this is what this person's doing, and they look like they're doing really well, they're speaking like really loud, and like, you know, just looking for certain traits that people had while presenting, and like just being able to
analyze those and being able to know, okay, I should apply that the next time I get a judge. Because yeah, it's really hard to look back at your last judging experience just because it goes by so fast and you're so stressed, and yeah. So yeah, I think that's.
So we've just had this question. So like make a personal connection. And that's basically exactly what it is. It's about having a conversation with someone. So yes, they're judging you, and yes, they might have a clipboard, and yeah, maybe at the end of it, they'll put some marks on a piece of paper that say how great your project is. Not that you'll ever see those marks, but you just have to pretend like you're just talking to any stranger in the public about your project. You've been living this project hopefully for months and months at this point. You know your project better than anyone else, and so they're just curious. They just want to get to know like why you're passionate about this subject, what it is that you've done your project on, and why they should care about it. So if you sort of start with the main sections on project board, the main sections on your project template, and work through them. So starting off with what you did, why you did it, how you did it, and why it's important, and then talk about what's next. Have a bit of a conversation, and don't just stand there for 15 minutes and just talk at them. Let them actually have a bit of space to ask some questions and answer it like you would a human being. You're going to do great. You're going to do great. And make sure you have fun, because this is the best chance you have at talking to someone who's probably going to know the most about your project at any other point in the week. So like talk to them, and they'll be excited for you, and you should be excited to speak to them as well. And they're nice. Our judges are really nice. Like they're not scary people. Yeah. So. And
even if they've got like a really blank look on their face, and you're like, oh my god, they hate me, they might just have a poker face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had judges who like looked like they were like so deadpan at my project, and then they came back to me later and told me how much they loved my project, and I was like I did not get that vibe from you. But like that's just how they are. Like they're probably just focused on judging, and so they might look a little scary, but they're not.
Or they're concentrating really hard. They're just like
in the zone.
In the zone, like you should be in the zone. Just two people concentrating really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the next step after judging, I guess, is talking about awards and what advice you'd have if they don't get an award, what advice you had for them if they do get an award. How do you sort of conceptualize and rationalize that whole judging piece after judging day?
Yeah, I guess I can start. So I had a bit of a weird situation because my brother did do Canada-wide before me. And so it was kind of like I always felt like I had to fill his shoes. So in my first year, I got bronze, which is really, really good. But he had gotten gold or something crazy, and it's the first year that he went. And so I remember like getting my bronze, and I did not feel happy about it. And I was so upset for so long. And it was so hard for me to get over that. And like, I didn't, like, even like the next few times I went, like I was still like, I was never happy with my results, which is like so sad looking back on it. But now that I'm older, I'm really able to see like how much, like I had so much fun going to the fair, and I had so much fun building my project. And like looking back on it with all this retrospect, like the whole experience is so valuable, guys. And I know it might be hard to see in the moment about like in terms of awards, but like coming from me, and I do some like crazy stuff now, like with my schooling, like it's all super high level, but I still think that my most invaluable experience for like learning how to public speak, learning how to set up a project, being independent, all those skills came from science fair, even though it was so long ago and I was so young. So just like keep that in mind. And I know everyone says this, like winning doesn't matter that much, but I honestly think the skills that you will build at Canada-wide are so, so valuable, and you will use them
all throughout your university or whatever career you decide to take following high school.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's a journey that's fun. Exactly, Prav. Exactly. What a great comment that one is.
Yeah, and like, even then, like when I was doing my science fair projects, I was like, oh my god, this is so much work. Like, is it gonna pay off? But now I look back on it and go, oh my god, that was so much fun. Like I could choose whatever project I wanted, and I could do as much work as I wanted on it, and I had no other time constraints. And so, yeah, although it might seem like a lot of work now, like I miss it. Like I wish I could do another one.
Yes, me too. I didn't even do it. Zoe, what have you got for us? Hit us with some wisdom.
Yeah, I guess like I agree with everyone. It is the journey that's fun, and there's so much that you'll take out of Canada wide that you don't even know yet. I mean, the skills are one thing. There are skills that I learned in terms of presenting at the Canada Wide Science Fair that I am literally still using when I'm presenting my master's level research. And I just think that's crazy because I learned it at such a like so young. Well, I guess so young. I was in grade 12, but it seems like a long time ago now. And I've continued to use those skills going forward. But even more than that, I came home from Canada Wide Science Fair with a medal. And that felt amazing. And I was super happy. And I felt like I worked really hard for it. But now looking back, when I think about the Canada Wide Science Fair, I don't think about the fact that I won a medal at all. I mean, it's sitting somewhere in my parents' basement, and I'm super proud of it. But when I think about Canada Wide Science Fair, I think about the connections that it gave me more so. Two of my very best friends from the past 4 years, I met at the Canada Wide Science Fair. One of my really good friends, we've been in school together. We went to university together in the same program, and we finished our undergrads together. And I likely wouldn't have met them if I didn't do Canada Wide and didn't do Science Fair. So I think focus more on the connections that you're going to make than the status of winning a medal, because ultimately the excitement of the medal will only last for so long, but the connections that you make will really last forever. And that's extremely cheesy, but it is true.
Wow, that's a good one. That should have been the quote that I posted on Instagram twice today. So good, so good. We just had a question here. Can you elaborate on the presenting skills that you learned at Canada Wide Science Fair just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I learned these skills so this one skill that I was thinking of, I learned it while I was preparing to go to the Canada Wide Science Fair. So I had a mentor, shout out Ivana if you're watching this, not sure. But she told me, Zoe, listen, you need to practice telling someone about your project in 30 seconds. And some of you are probably going, oh my goodness, how could I possibly tell someone about my project in 30 seconds? And I know it sounds crazy, but she worked with me and literally got me to a point where I could concisely explain my project in those 30 seconds. And that is a huge skill that I have taken with me for so long, because most times if somebody comes up to you and wants to talk about your project outside of judging day, or maybe even the judges, they don't want you to just be talking at them. They want to have it as a conversation, and being able to put your research into such a short time frame is so difficult, but it's such an important skill. And I actually recently, I'm not sure if anybody here has heard of 3-minute thesis, but it's a competition that some universities have for graduate students, where you have to summarize your master's or PhD thesis into 3 minutes and then present on it. And we recently had one of those competitions at my university, and my supervisor was like, Zoe, you should participate, it'll be fun. And as I was preparing for that competition, I thought back to preparing for those 30 seconds for the Canada Wide Science Fair. And I actually did pretty well. I was a 3-minute thesis finalist. So I really do believe that I did well in that competition because I could summarize my research.
That's so good. Yeah. Congrats.
Thank you.
It does. That is such an important skill to learn, and it's in the judging tips email. So go back through your emails if you didn't know about this until right now. But there is a paragraph in there that talks about have 3 different lengths of your presentation. 1 for 30 seconds. Capture someone's attention as they're just walking by. Hit them with the 30 seconds, and if they want to ask more questions, then you can, tell them more about their project. For judging, 3 minutes is like the sweet spot. Hit the judges with 3 minutes of presenting, and then you've got 7 to 17 minutes depending on what sort of judging round you're in. to answer questions, to have a conversation with them. So you don't have to cram absolutely everything. You don't have to read your poster and try to do that in 3 minutes time. It's all about summarizing the most important bits and then knowing that you're going to get questions that you can follow up with answers that you've already prepared. So it's not like you're guessing at what questions you're going to get. You can kind of guide the conversation to answer the questions you want to answer and those that you've already prepared for sure. Katie, anything to add?
I guess just in terms of like awards and that kind of thing. Numbers speak to me, so let's go with numbers. There are about 400 people at the Canada-wide Science Fair, and there are tens of thousands of people in Canada that do science fair projects every year. If you are one of those 400 out of tens of thousands, you are statistically like way up here, right? So I know it sounds usually like just getting there but truly to get to the Canada-wide Science Fair, you are la crème de la crème. So,
That's
kind of. But yeah, that's what I always think about as well. It's just you have a rare opportunity to not only present your science, but also get to learn so much and make so many great friends during the week. And that's something that not everybody gets. So take advantage of that. And in terms of presenting tips, going back to kind of what Zoe and Jackie were saying, I would say my biggest advice is talk to your judge knowing that they are educated, but maybe they're not completely aware of exactly the area of science you're in. So, your judge might be a biologist and you're talking specifically about a really niche area of neuroscience. They're educated, they have the capacity to understand what you're telling them, but you also might need to explain some ins and outs and not use too much jargon. So I always think talk to the judges, knowing they're educated, knowing that they're scientists, but also knowing that they might not know all the ins and outs of everything that you've done. And you are going to want to avoid things like jargon, acronyms, things like that might confuse your presentation.
Good tips. And yeah, Sarah's asking the question, let me show this on screen here. My lowest scores are always presentation based. I was wondering if you could give some advice on like how to present from start to finish because it's holding me back and taking away from my work. Good question. And I don't know if we can start with some just very basic like presentation skills. So I don't know if anyone's watching Ted Lasso at the moment, but the whole make yourself bigger before going into a situation that you feel uncomfortable with. So like actually making yourself physically bigger and taking a nice big breath just to give yourself that little bit of extra boost of adrenaline, boost of confidence. And then just making sure that you're speaking clearly, maintaining a good cadence of rhythm with your voice. That instantly improves your presentation skills. And there are 3 things that you can do at home alone, practicing in front of a mirror. Zoe, you had your hand up. What have you got for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to share a piece of advice that my master's supervisor always gives to me in terms of presentations. And basically what he says is when you start the presentation, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you just told them, which sounds a little bit silly, which apparently is my theme tonight. Everything's a little bit silly, but it really is true. When you start out, tell the audience what you're going to talk about, why you did it, and then tell them what you actually did and how you did it. And then at the end, remind them, I did this and it's important because. And I think that's a really clear and concise way to explain your research.
Yeah, that's good. Hit us, Jackie.
I was gonna
make your presentation interesting. I hear a lot of people present and it sounds like kind of like boring and they're just like going through everything. And like it's a good presentation in terms of you're getting the information across. It's the timing's right. Like nothing's wrong in that sense, but it's just not exciting to listen to. Like this is your project, you're passionate about it. I'm not saying like tell it like a story, but give it some like value outside of just your data. You should be excited about your project. Seem excited, seem happy to be there. Like Zoe was saying, if you have little like sort of like anecdotes or other stuff to add in to make it make more sense, but also just to give more value to your presentation that's not just fact after fact after fact.
Please don't present your entire project like you are reading from the board.
Exactly.
Please, no. No more of that.
Just
No
like,
more
you know,
of that.
like, just have enthusiasm. Like,
Yeah.
just seem, I don't know, happy to be there, like excited. And I think judges really look for that. Like, does this kid want to be here, or, you know, are their parents forcing them to be here? There's a huge difference between those two things. So,
Yeah. And even if your parents are forcing you to be there, you can pretend like you also want to be there.
exactly. That is
Yeah.
true. Acting.
Yeah. Exactly. Alrighty, this is a fantastic question. Is there something you wish you had done differently at CWSF? Who wants to go first?
I have a quick little thing. So kind of like Zoe, my projects were never like, I cured cancer, like super, super cool, crazy thing. Like I was doing stuff that it was like a niche little section, and I was kind of looking into that and saying, okay, this is a problem. It's super niche. It's nothing crazy, but this is what I would do to fix it. And whenever I got to the fair, I'd see the people with the I cured cancer posters, and I'd immediately just like feel so like deflated, because it's like, how can I compete with that? But the thing is, a lot of those students like work in university labs. They have a mentor, like all this stuff. Or if you look at their project, it might not be as crazy as it sounds just from the title. But I got into this rut of just feeling so like below everyone, even though I did all my work by myself. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a university lab helping me out. So that's one thing that I wish I did differently. The next thing is kind of short, but I also, like, I did meet a lot of people at Canada-wide, and I'm still really good friends with them. But I wish I met more people. And I don't think it's possible because I met everyone I could. Like, I spent so much time talking to people. But everyone at Canada-wide is so awesome. And I just wish, like, I just reached out more and more and more, because everyone has a good story to tell on how they got there and what they want to do with their future. And it's super interesting.
Yeah, good one. And if you can't meet them all at Canada-wide, join the Purple STEM Wave Discord server and you can chat to them there. Zoe, Katie, who's got something? Zoe's got something? Go for it.
I guess if I look back at CWSF, I really just wish that I listened to what Katie said, even though I didn't know Katie then, and just like let myself breathe. I took myself so seriously at Canada-wide, and obviously you should act with professionalism, of course, but I was so nervous about my performance and about like just making sure I didn't say something incorrectly, or like the judge would leave and I would overthink every single thing that I had said to that person and what they said to me and try to overanalyze it. And part of that's just me having anxiety, but like I wish I just let myself breathe and just enjoyed. And I did enjoy my week. I had a great time, and it definitely got better near the end of the week. But I guess I just let myself be and kind of be more present in the moment. So yeah, maybe just go into it knowing that whatever happens, it's going to be okay, and just make the most of it, I guess.
Yeah, be present in that moment. Again, latest newsletter, all about being present in the moment. So the tips are out there. Just go read my emails.
I'm not like
a self-promotion.
I swear I'm not plagiarizing the newsletter. Like, I didn't have time to read it.
Wow, I don't know if that's worse.
I'm confused how Stuart knows all this if he didn't go to Canada-wide. Like, who are you getting your info from?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just... I mean, was it good artist copy, great artist steal? So I'm just cherry picking all the information I can find. Yeah. Alrighty, Katie,
I would hop onto what Zoe said, and not taking yourself too seriously is huge. You're doing something big, and that is incredible, but you're also there to have fun and learn and be kind to yourself when you make mistakes. Because you'll make a mistake and you can either obsess over it, or you can move on, learn from it, and do better next time. So be kind to yourself. I think this goes for anything in life, but talk to yourself the way you talk to your best friend. Like, don't say, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. You're so stupid. You wouldn't say that to your best friend, right? So talk to yourself. Like, you know what? You did your best. You're doing really, really well. And I feel like if I did that more, I probably would have been a lot less worried and a lot less anxious throughout my Canada-wide experiences, because sometimes I still find myself, well, often I still find myself beating myself up over little mistakes in my science, or I catch something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have done this. Like, how stupid could I be, right? But you're going to find mistakes. Be kind to yourself and remember that all throughout the week.
Yeah, exactly. I like that though. Don't take yourself too seriously. It's a good note to, for sure. Tesco, call me out. Love the support. Love the support. What about things that finalists might not know what to expect from the week? Is there something that you remember, you know, the first, especially the first kind of wide you all went to, where you're like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing? Like, what is there something that you feel like everyone should know before they get there?
For me, it was my first time being away from my parents for any length of time. And I would say for anybody that has parents or guardians looking out for them, make sure to update them, even if it's just a text like, hey, Mom, I'm having fun. They want to hear from you. They want to know that you're doing well. It'll make you feel good to communicate with them. They'll feel good because they'll know where their kid is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for me, it was my first time being away from my parents at the time, and I was really nervous. But always know that your delegates are there for any questions you have, any concerns you have. They are there for you. And your teammates are there for you too. You've got a whole new family for the week, and you'll probably talk to them for years and years to come. So get used to talking to them now.
Also some pretty cool ambassadors.
There are some pretty cool ambassadors.
Pretty cool ambassadors.
Here and
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say try to, I guess, live in the moment, like Zoe said, unsighted from Stu, may I add.
Yeah, unprompted, yeah.
But yeah, update your parents, communicate with your parents, and it's okay to like miss them, because I miss my parents a lot. Living in my apartment, I still miss my parents a lot. But know that when you come home, they'll be really proud of you. If you're in a situation where that is the case, and yeah.
And look, if you don't update them, at least tell them to follow our social media. There's going to be some cool photos and videos being posted there constantly. So even if they're not photos of you, at least they'll see that someone like you was having fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone like you is having fun, yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know how big of a thing this is anymore, but pin trading was huge when I went to Canada-wide. And I wasn't really prepared. Like, I think I brought like a couple pins, because I didn't really know. But like, people were crazy with pin trading. Like, you get this like kind of, I don't know what it's called, like a lanyard-ish thing. And everyone like they trade pins and they clip the pins to their lanyard. And so if you haven't gotten any already, call your town hall and say, do you have any pins for me? And if they don't, call the town over as town hall.
Your MPP too can be a really good resource for your member of Parliament.
Yeah, your MPC, like, or whatever they're called, member of Parliament, your town hall. I just called my town hall and said, please give me some pins, and so they did. But I remember, like, I got some crazy pins. I got pins from like Australia and stuff like that, and I just didn't really know it was a thing. And if you don't have pins, that's okay too. Like, there's always a solution. Like, people have lots of pins. They'll probably give you pins for nothing. You don't always trade. But yeah, I think that was the biggest shock to me. But there's also gamification now, so I think people go kind of crazy with that.
Go crazy about everything.
Yeah.
I hear if you ask Katie really, really nice, and you say please, she has some special pins to be traded this year.
Ooh.
Yes, you have to solve a riddle though. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's yeah, or bingo. Yeah. We'll create our own scavenger hunt.
I have a vivid memory of my first Candlewide. So my town's pins are like not that exciting. They're a square with the logo on it. And I really wanted a Thunder Bay pin. And I went up to this girl from Thunder Bay and I was like, hey, you want to trade pins? And she was like, sure. I was like, okay, here's my town. And she's like, no, not that one. And I was like, oh, okay. Proud to report that a few years later, I did get a Thunder Bay pin. People get really intense about it sometimes. Spore pin. Everyone needs a Spore pin. Hashtag
Yeah.
Spore.
I did. The other thing about pins though is like, whenever I like traded someone, I wasn't like super crazy pin trading, but like if I got to know someone, I'd trade the pin. And I remember like going through them when I got home and being like, oh, I remember like this is the friend I met at this time and they gave me this pin. And it was kind of sad when I got home because I had that little like piece that you could take home, you know, that reminds you of them. So
It's like a friendship bracelet, but metal.
yeah, kind of.
With a pointy end.
This is just me being like kind of eccentric, so take it or leave it. But kind of what Jackie was saying, she's like, oh, like I know who this pin's from. Whenever I go up to somebody for pin trading and they're like, which one would you like? I have 300. I'll be like, do you have a pin from your town? Because I really want a pin from your town. Because if somebody's from Halifax, I'd like a Halifax pin if they got one. Because it's kind of random to get a Vancouver pin from someone from Halifax, but that's cool too if that's the way you like to trade pins. But I always say, hi, do you have any pins from the town you're from? So if you hear that in the exhibit hall, that's probably me saying that.
Yeah. Zoe, what have you got for us? Anything else we're missing?
I think I forgot the question.
It's me too. Is there anything else that surprised you about your Candlewide Science Fair experience that we haven't mentioned yet that you feel like everyone should know about? Any like last minute secrets?
Super random, but I am a very picky eater, and I thought I was going to starve the whole week. And you won't. I had ice cream every day. It was great, and the food was great. So if anyone's like me and is like nervous about the food, it's gonna be great. Don't even worry. There will probably be cheese pizza. It's okay.
Yeah. We've got some good food covered for sure. And the closing event food is going to be unreal as well. So I'm very excited for that. Very, very excited for that. It's going to be such a fun week. We have so many cool things planned. It's going to be a little bit different this year compared to previous in-person fairs because we're not at a university campus the whole time. But the convention center is going to be so cool. The STEM Expo is going to be right next to the project zone. So especially those public viewing days when we've got 10,000 visiting students and teachers coming over 3 days, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you're all ready yet. I don't feel like I'm ready yet. It's going to kick in.
Throw in the comments what you're most excited for.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I feel like I'm
I sound like a YouTuber. Throw in the comments. Like the subscribe button.
Get to like, subscribe.
The subscribe button.
Hit the notification bell.
Someone's gonna ask if there's ice cream. Someone's asking if there's ice cream.
I don't know if we can get that specific.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Oh, Zoe.
I'm so sorry.
We do have a good question though about dietary restrictions, specifically halal food. I think that's worth answering.
Yeah, unfortunately, no, there won't be halal food specifically. We are working with external catering companies, and that's not something that they were able to do for us. But we did request dietary restrictions and allergies from all of the finalists, and we are accommodating all of them, basically. Halal is probably the only one that specifically we can't do, but there are other options for you, so it's not like we're going to make you starve.
Like vegetarian options, for example.
Yeah, exactly. We've got vegetarian and vegan options and stuff as well, so it might not be specifically, halal meat, but we're going to have other options for you to eat, so do not despair, my friends. Someone said I'm scared. No, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be such a fun week. 400. It's like 400 of your best friends getting together for a whole week to do things that you all are interested in. I mean, this is literally the ideal situation for anyone in high school. No ice cream rewriting. Oh gosh, here we go. Revolutions are back.
Never
This
met
was all your
anyone
fault,
online
Zoe.
before seeing
Yeah.
them in person. That's a good thing to live by, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been out of the province. Well, yeah, this is going to be, I mean, unless you live in Alberta, this is going to be a great new experience for you. So, but you're
Even
not
if
alone
you
as
live in
well.
Alberta, it's gonna be great. Like one of my Canada Wides as a finalist was in Ontario. I'm from Ontario. It was still the best. Like it was amazing. So even if you're from Alberta and you're like, oh, I don't get to travel, it's still gonna be so great.
Any final comments? We're wrapping up to the hour here. So, Jackie, did you want to leave us with any final thoughts you have for us before we all get to see each other in a couple of days? Can anyone hear her? Is it just me?
Can anyone lip read?
Jackie, we can't hear you. I let that go for so long. Zoe and Katie are just there nodding along, and none of us can hear you at all.
I thought my computer lagged.
No, I can't hear her.
Hello?
Go ahead. There we go.
Hello.
You're back. Yeah.
Why'd you let me go for so long?
I don't know. It's great. These two were just nodding along, like, yeah.
I thought I was lagging.
Okay, well,
Doing
anyway,
with my
That's a
head,
practice
so.
run. Yeah. What have you got for
what I
us?
said for like 10 minutes before someone told me I was muted. All the
Nah,
participants, but also
Yeah, you're back. You're back. Your headphones just keep disconnecting randomly every now and again. Nah.
Time to meet all the
Every time I say no, it just kicks in and we can start hearing you again. Oh, brilliant. We got so many comments just being like, what is happening? Chaos, we did so good for 57 minutes. All right, well, Jackie figures her stuff out. Zoe, did you want to leave us with some magical words of wisdom?
No words of wisdom, but if you're here today, come say hi to me at the fair. I want to put faces to names, and I see you in the server even if I don't always reply. I'm sorry. I can really like answer my mom. Like I just texting is so much effort, okay? But come say hi in person. I'm so excited to meet all of you, and I hope you all have the best week.
Katie, what have you got for us?
Ooh, same thing as Zoe. Like, come say hi. I am so excited to meet you all in person. I will probably get super excited and talk your face off. But just get ready for that. Prepare for that in advance. Yeah, no, have an amazing week. Deep breaths, be in the moment, all the cliche things we've said to you that are actually really important and you might not realize till later, but we're going to tell you right now anyway. And have an amazing week. Can't wait to meet you all. Come say hi if you see me.
Absolutely. Come say hi. Jackie, are you back? Are you just nodding along? Nah, I can't hear you. Whatever you're gonna say, you talk and I'll mumble what you think you're gonna say.
Oh, can we do like one of those like bad lip readings?
Like exactly like a hand puppet kind of thing.
Hi, I'm Jackie. She doesn't talk like that. Don't worry.
Yeah. It'd be something smart though. I'm sure it was gonna be like the words of wisdom were gonna be heartfelt. It was gonna be drama.
Something that like
there was gonna be conflict. I was gonna be crying by the end of it.
would shiver at.
It's probably in the newsletter, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. Something about the power of story, the power of community, maybe. Yeah, when was that? January or February's newsletter? Brilliant. Oh well, thank you for joining us all. This has been a fun hour. I'm so glad that we could hear your words of wisdom. I'm so glad that we could catch up as well. I haven't seen any of you in so long. Jackie, I don't think we've ever met. I mean, maybe we met once back in 2018 or 19 without even knowing it, but no, you weren't there? All right. Well, we're all going to be new friends very soon. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing your words of advice. For everyone listening and for everyone watching this later, I hope this was helpful. We'll do another live stream at some point about a different topic. Maybe catching up individually with everyone, because I need to hear more about Jackie's bug lights in the lab, and Zoe, all the things you're doing. And I mean, Hiccup has to make a special appearance, and Katie, you're studying like 3 different doctor degrees or master degrees or something. Just 2. Sorry, don't want to overachieve. Yeah.
That's what happens when you can't choose.
Absolutely. Anyway, thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll talk to you again soon, no doubt. So, bye.